Hello and welcome back to the channel. This is Abhinav. So we have recently launched pro subscription of coding75.com, and later in the video you will see the recording of a demo class of that pro subscription. So we are actually giving first 10 days free access to all the live classes of Coding75 Pro. So this class is a demo class of that particular subscription. Do check it out, and if you have any interest in Coding75, if you have any doubts, any queries related to it, you can contact to me directly using the contact query number given in the description. You can check out, you can contact to me with the WhatsApp number, or you can also check out the coding75.com/pro for others data regarding the pro subscription. Thank you. See the recording. Right. So hello everyone. As we know, this is the first class, or we can say a demo class for our pro, that like the Coding75 Pro, right? So in this particular lecture, our agenda will be discussing about the recursion basics. Okay, I want this class to be, very interactive. So please do ask problems. Please do ask doubt whenever you feel any. So the mic is open for everyone. The chat is open for everyone. Please do ask doubt whenever you have any problem. Right? Cool. So our agenda for this class is recursion basics only. For every class of pro, once the class is done, our class notes will also be provided to you all, which will contain three basic things: the topics covered in that particular class, the resources used in that class, and the problem solved in that class, right? Because today it's a very basic class that we are discussing, not like there will be not much problem solving there. We will discuss the very basics, in-depth understanding of recursion, right? So if we talk about recursion, what is recursion? Can anyone tell me? Like the very basic definition of recursion. क्या होता है recursion? हाँ जी. So recursion is function calling itself. Okay. So if someone asks you what is recursion, simply say when a function calls itself, that is what a recursion is, right? For example, so the same thing is happening in loops also. Let me give you a very basic example of what is recursion and what is loop. Difference also, and then we will also discuss about two very important topic. First is recursive stack. So you all have must heard about what is this recursive stack, the extra space that is taken by recursion. You all have heard about it, but do you know the internal working of that? That also we will discuss in this particular class, and we will also discuss about the recursive tree. Okay, how the recursion tree actually works, how the recursion calls are made, how the unexecutable statements are stored in recursive stack. That all we will discuss in this particular class, right? Amazing. So the very first thing is, what is the need for recursion? So recursion is something, as I told you, function calling itself. For example, if I will ask you, okay, that you guys have to solve problems, you have to solve problem. So there's a function called solve problem. Okay, I'm asking you guys, okay, guys, you all have to solve problem, but you will say, Abhinav, okay, but till when we have to solve problem? I will say, while you are not placed, while you don't have a job, you have to solve problem. So what is happening here? Here the same function, there is same function solve problem is called again and again until you are not placed. So the condition is that while not placed, solve problems. Okay. This same thing can also be done using recursion actually. Again, a one very basic example of a loop. For example, there's a loop called for loop. Int I equal to 0, I is less than 5, I plus plus, and this loop we are printing, let's say I. Okay. So can anyone tell me what will be the output for this particular program? इस program का output क्या होगा? A very basic thing it is. Yeah, exactly, Abhishek. That's also a nice example of recursion. Yeah. So what will be the output for this thing, which is C out I? कोई बताएगा मुझे?
0 to 4.
So 0 to 4 will be printed, right? So elements like from 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4 will be printed actually, right? So let's also simply open a compiler. I will use online compiler so that I can share the code with you guys also. We can also set up, some IDE that we will discuss. Okay. So we will also include the bits std package. Okay. I hope everyone knows about what is this bits std package. We can have, I will not go much in today's class, otherwise our main agenda will be, lagged. Okay, so for example, we have this particular compiler, okay, where we have simply this for loop. Okay, let's say the for loop is like this: for int I is 0, I is less than 5, I plus plus. Okay, and then we are simply saying print I, and then we are saying change the line. So if you will run this code, simple output will be from 0 to 4, it will be printed. You can see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 is printed. That's a very basic for loop that we have written here, right? Now let's do the same thing using recursion. कैसे recursion होगा? देखो guys, recursion actually have two parts. Recursion actually have two parts. Can anyone tell me what two parts it has? What two parts it has? Recursion के दो
base
parts.
case base case और
Exactly.
function call.
Exactly. So there's a base case in recursion and there's a recursive case in recursion. Recursive case, right? Up, let's understand why we need these two cases. If you will see, guys, when we discuss this for loop, what we were having here? We were having an initial value of I. We were having a condition, and whenever this condition becomes false, your for loop should terminate, should stop, because it should not go infinity. And this is a updation that we have. Similarly, guys, in recursion we have two cases. Base case is also known as a terminating case. What? It is known as terminate case. Why? Because whenever the base case is executed, recursion stops. It got terminates. What is recursive case? Recursive case is simple when we call that function again. Call that function again. Maybe currently it is very confusing, but when you will, after some time, you will see all these dots will get connected, okay, with in a single topic. So how we can write the base case and recursive case? If you will see this for loop, let's say we have to write the recursive code for the same for loop. Like currently this for loop is printing numbers from 0 to 4 less than 5. Let's try the same thing using recursion, right? As I told you, recursion means function calling itself. Means whenever recursion will come, you have to obviously first of all create a function. Okay, so let's create a function first of all. Let's say I have a function void. Let's say function name is fun, and it will take a number I. Why I? Because if you will see, this loop was also having a I iterator, so recursion will also have a I. So this is a basic function with the name fun with the variable I. Ab, as I told you, it will have two cases. First will be the base case. Second will be the recursive case. Okay? Second will be the recursive case. What is the base case? Base case is when will this function stop? When will this recursion call will stop? Also, can anyone tell me in this for loop, when will this for loop stop? What will be the value of I at which this for loop will stop? Can anyone tell me?
I equals to 0.
I equals to 4.
No, no.
I equals to 0.
No. Why 0? So at 0 it is starting. It is 0 initially. It will
I
become
equals to
1.
5.
Exactly. At I is equal to 5, it will stop. See, let me explain why it is happening. First, see, it is I is equal to 0. Then it will become 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. Until 4, everything is fine. You can see from 0 to 4, it was printing. When it will become 5, this condition will become false because it is saying I should be less than 5. So whenever it will become 5, your for loop will stop. So at I is equal to 5, it should stop. And because we are implementing the same using recursion, in recursion also, whenever value of I will become equal to 5 or maybe greater than 5 also, what we will do? We will terminate this function. Means after this, we will not do anything. We will stop the function. And for terminating a function, which keyword is used? Anyone? See, it's a very,
Return.
yeah, it's a very basic class. I can understand many of you must know this all what I'm discussing. But because it's a first class, I was thinking to make it basic, right? And by the way, when we discuss stack and all, it will be a little more interesting, right? Okay. So this is the very basic base case. What I'm saying is, okay, whenever I will become greater than 5, your recursion will stop. Now, what is recursive case? See, in the recursive case, first of all, we will write what operation we want to have. Then what is the next recursion call we have to make. So first of all, if you will see, in every loop iteration, we were printing the value of I. So here also what I will do, I will print the value of I every time. Then in every iteration, the value of I was increased by 1. So what we will do, we will also call this function fun with the value I plus 1. So every time what will happen, this function will be executed, value of I will be printed, then again the same function is called with the value I plus 1. Then that I plus 1 is printed, then again it will call for next value. And whenever I will become greater than equal to 5, your function will stop, it will return, right? So let's say this, so if you will see here, this is what we were doing previously. Let's comment this out and let's call this function with the value 0, because initially value of I will be 0. We were giving 0 in the loop also, right? If you will run it now, again the same output will be there. You will see that the output will be 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Means the same for loop which was here, this for loop we have written as a function, right? Is this part clear to all of you? How we converted a for loop into recursive program? Is that clear? Just a thumbs up. Okay, amazing, amazing. Up, let's have something interesting. Okay, what we have to do here now? See, Abhi, I'm simply saying, okay, so let me also give you a basic overview of how this was actually working. Then I will tell you one more thing. So if I will just give you a basic overview, very quick dry run basically. So this is our code, right? What is happening here? We started this function with fun 0. If you will see, we started this function with the value 0. We called it. So when the function will be called with the value 0, initially I is 0. When I is 0, you can see this base case is not true. This base case is not true. So what will happen? It will go to recursive case. In recursive case, we are saying print I. So what will happen in the output part, 0 will be printed because it is saying print I. Then it is saying function I plus 1, means now the next recursion call will happen for I plus 1, means I is 0 currently, means for 1. Again same thing, now 1 will be printed. Now it will call for function 2. Now 2 is printed, then it will call for function 3. 3 is printed, it will call for function 4. And finally 4 will be printed and it will call for function 5. Ab dekho, when the value of this I will become 5, when the value of this I will become 5, what will happen? This was the base case. So for 0 to 4, the base case was not true. Whenever I will become 5, this base case will become true because now I is actually greater than or equal to 5. What will happen? Your recursion, your function will not stop. It will not go further. And your output will be 0 to 4. Okay? Seems good to everyone? Right? Any doubts? Cool. Cool. Great. A very interesting part. देखो, when we were saying कि okay, when we were saying कि our function is like first we are printing I, then we will calling for the function. Let's do opposite of it. Let's say now I will say I will first call the recursion, then I will print the value of I. First I will call the recursion, then I will print the value of I. Now can anyone tell me what will be the output? क्या output होगा यहाँ पर?
Nothing.
Okay, anyone else? So nothing is not the right answer. कोई बताएगा क्या होगा? 0. Okay. So basically first we are making a recursion call to I plus 1, then we are printing it. No. Any guesses? कोई guess? We have like reverse the thing. First we are making recursion call, then we are printing the value I.
Nothing please for this code.
Okay, no worries. See guys, now what will one more thing. Yeah, now what will actually happen is previously it was 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it will be 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Reverse of it is printed. Now you must be wondering how it is happening, right? How many of you got this? How many of you like confused कि क्या हो रहा है यहाँ पर? Why it is printing reverse of it? Can anyone tell me? No? No worries.
Sir,
Yeah.
Yeah, because
sir,
first,
stack. Yes.
hello.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, because first will function call, then when the reach out the best condition, it will print them.
Exactly. Great, 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 Aditya. That is what is happening actually. So देखो हो क्या रहा है guys? What is happening is, let me explain you this also. Let me take this code. So the same code it is. In this same code, if I will just change one thing, okay, this function call will go first, and then we are printing it. ठीक है. अब let's understand what is actually happening here. Let me erase everything else. देखो, here comes the role of recursive stack. So you all must have heard about recursive stack. Extra space is taken by recursive stack. What is this actually? Actual working of this we will understand now. So recursive stack is nothing. It's just a stack, a simple container where we actually store something. You can call it as a memory where we basically store something, which you known as recursive stack. Okay. Now let's see how it actually works. This is called recursive stack. Okay. And the tree that I made now, that is called recursive tree. So the recursive tree will be better when we will have multiple recursion call, like 2D and 3D tree will be there. We will discuss later in more detail. So here also what will happen? Let's say we are calling the function with the value fun 0. Okay. Up, let me tell you one thing, guys. For example, I am your mentor, okay? That you are having a one-to-one mentorship with me. I told you one thing, okay, guys, you have to first of all, let's say learn Next.js, okay, and after learning Next.js, next you have to learn about let's say uh, Flask Python, okay, for the backend. What will happen while you are learning Next.js? While you are learning Next.js, you cannot learn Python because Python should be learned after Next.js only, as told by me, right? So what you will do? You will keep this note somewhere. You will remember this, na? Because Abhinav said कि I have to learn Python after Next.js. You will note it somewhere. You will make a note. You will remember it. Whatever. That's your choice. But you will actually store it somewhere in your brain, in your notebook, or anywhere else. Similarly, guys, whenever there are some unexecutable statements that are waiting for something else to be executed, they are actually stored in a memory which is called recursive stack. If you will see in this particular program, when you are calling this function for fun0, fun0 means this function will be called for the value 0. Okay. When I will be 0, first of all it will check for the base case. If you will see base case is not true, it is not true. Now thing comes to the recursive case. अब in recursive case what will happen? What you are saying actually? You are saying first call the function for the value I plus 1. Means call this function for the value 1. You are first calling for the value fun 1. And after function 1 is called, then you are saying print this statement. But this function 1 will take a lot of time to execute. Na? It's not a simple step it will get executed. No. You have to make another recursion call. So while this function 1 is executing, what will happen to this condition? Will it get unexecuted? No. Actually, this will be a pending unexecutable statement which is actually stored in recursive stack, and it will be executed once this function is executed. So all the unexecuted statements are actually stored in the recursive stack. So what will happen? You will call for function 0. Now function 0 is saying call for function 1. So it will call for function 1, that is fine. But this statement which is cout I, where I is 0, this cout 0 will actually be stored in a recursive stack, and it will execute at the last when this function call will be done. Up same will happen again. Now you call the function with the value 1. Now when the function is called for the value 1, now what will happen? Again you are saying call for I plus 1, means call for 2. When you are saying for call for 2, again cout I means cout 1 is pending. तो क्या होगा? That will again be stored here. That will again be stored here. Then you will call for the value 2. When you will call for 2, it will call for function 3. But cout 2 will be in the recursive stack. Now this 3 will call for 4, but cout 3 will be in the recursive stack. This 4 will call for function 5, but this cout 4 will be in the recursive stack. When function 5 will be called, it is a base case. When I will become 5, it's a base case. Your recursion call will stop. And when the recursion calls are stopped, now this recursive stack is executed. Last is executed first. That is why it says stack. First cout 4. 4 is printed. Then 3 is printed. Then 2 is printed. Then 1 is printed. Then 0 is printed. Are you getting this thing? That is why it was printing in the reverse manner. Right? Is it clear to everyone? Any doubts? Okay.
हेलो
Yes.
यस सर आई हैव डाउट सर लाइक कि जब सर हम रिकर्जन की प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करने जाते हैं फर्स्टली सर हमें व्हाट लाइक थिंक अबाउट कि बेस केस की रिकर्सिव केस लाइक कि लाइक इसमें तो सर हमें पता है 1 to 5 प्रिंट करना है तो एंड 5 to 1 लाइक बट सर इसके अलावा जैसे आपने कोई और प्रॉब्लम दे दी लाइक तो सर उसमें हमें रिकर्सिव को कॉल कर मतलब पहले सोचना चाहिए कि बेस केस के लिए सर.
So it depends now. So in some cases you can think first of the base case. The base case क्या होगा? Because see, देखो it depends completely on the question. In some questions, so base case क्या होता है? Base case is a problem, is a condition where the value is already given to you. It is some default value, or that's the terminating case. For example, कि Fibonacci number में क्या होता है? The base case are the first two numbers. कि whenever n will become 0 and will become 1, answer 1 0 होगा. Else case में आपको फिबोनाची n -1 प्लस 1 2 करना पड़ेगा. तो इट टोटली डिपेंड्स ऑन अब है प्रॉब्लम के ऊपर. यू कांट से कि ओके इस मतलब कि हमेशा बेस केस ही लेंगे या फिर रिकर्सिव केस. इट्स टोटली डिपेंडेंट ऑन द प्रॉब्लम इटसेल्फ, राइट. सो डोंट टेक इट ओके कि इट्स अ कांस्टेंट थिंग. डिपेंड्स ऑन प्रॉब्लम, राइट. एंड वंस यू विल प्रैक्टिस मोर प्रॉब्लम्स ऑन रिकर्जन, यू विल गेट दिस थिंग क्योंकि क्या पहले आना है, क्या पहले एग्जीक्यूट करें, क्या पहले इंप्लीमेंट करें. यू विल हैव अ experience of that, right? So it's all about your practice. Okay.
Okay.
Anyone else, guys? कोई doubt किसी को? Nothing? We can move forward, right? Cool. Now next comes, so this is what we discussed about recursive stack, right? कि recursive stack कैसे काम करता है, how it actually execute. Now next again we will have a very basic, so this is obviously a very basic class, a demo class. I will not go much in higher levels. I can understand many of you maybe are familiar with all these topics, but then also next let's write a program to find factorial of a number. Okay, factorial of a number. So for example, when you're finding factorial, what is the value of 5 factorial? It is 120. How you have calculated? It's simply 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 into 5. So factorial of a number is nothing but the multiplication of the number from 1 to the number itself. So it will be 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. That is what the factorial of a number is, right? Or like up to n. Okay. If I will write in a more better way, it will be 1 into 2 into 3 up to n minus 1 into n, right? Ab how you can actually write this thing using recursion. So if you will see, guys, this much part, what is this? What is this 1 up to n minus 1 ka multiplication? This is actually n minus 1 factorial. So can we say कि n factorial is n minus 1 factorial into n? Yes. So this is how you have to form recursive cases. Okay, n factorial is nothing but n minus 1 factorial into n. So we will say whenever we write a recursive function for finding Fibonacci, for finding the factorial of a number, when we are finding factorial of n, I will simply call the recursion call for factorial n minus 1, and in that recursion call, I will multiply n. That's it. So how the function will be, written for this? We'll simply write it like this. So let's say it will be int, because we will return the factorial. I will say fact. It will have a number n. अब बेस केस क्या होगा? बेस केस इज दैट व्हेन n is equal to 1 we will simply return 1 because 1 factorial is 1 only. That's the very basic base case कि भाई 1 का factorial तो 1 ही होता है. What is recursive case? Recursive case is when we have to find factorial of n. So factorial n is actually n minus 1 factorial into n. So we will write it like this: factorial n minus 1 into n. Right? This is what actually happened. So if you will call the program, this function, I will say cout fact 6. So 6 factorial will be 720. 720 will be the output. Right? How it is actually working? So see how it will actually work. Here also the both like the recursive stack will be used here also actually. So because see, let me explain in a different way. Dekho, when we call this function, let's say we called for the factorial 3. Okay, so when we're calling for factorial 3, you will see that when we're calling for factorial 3, it is saying what? It is saying that factorial 3, let's say it f only, factorial 3 is actually factorial 2 into 3, because factorial n is actually factorial n minus 1 into n. So factorial 3 is factorial 2 into 3. So means to find this, to return this statement, we have to first call this recursion call. So this statement is actually dependent on this recursion call. It cannot be executed at the same time. So what will happen? First, it will call for the factorial of 2, and this statement will be returned. This will be in the recursive stack. Now when factorial 2 will be called, factorial 2 will be factorial 1 into 2. And when factorial 1 is actually called, it will have a base value which is 1. So means the function will return 1 simply. Now this factorial 1 will be used here. It will come okay, factorial 2 value is 2, and then this 2 will be used here, and factorial 3 value will be 6, right? So this is how this whole factorial is also working, right? So this is how basic base case and recursive cases are actually implemented in this call. Okay, yeah. So guys, any doubts regarding what we discussed till now? So I focused on the working of this recursive stack today. Uh, it was a very quick class. I can understand for half an hour only, because like this was just a class where I can understand the students. Any feedback that you guys can give. I will record this also. I have recorded this video. I will also upload it on YouTube, so that if you guys have any feedback, anything regarding that, you can ask, right? So any doubts guys regarding whatever we discussed till now? Recursive stack, recursion. We have more on recursion. Obviously, in this like class, the whole recursion is not discussed, but just for the demo and the basics I've discussed. So any doubt to anyone? Koi doubt?
No.
No?
No, sir.
Okay.
No.
Cool. So let me just stop the recording. Then we can discuss any other things if you guys have.